Crazy History Facts. Part 1. In the 16th century, Rudolf II, who reigned as the Holy Roman Emperor from 1576 to 1612, had an eccentric and obsessional fascination with the esoteric and the arcane. He is perhaps one of history's most peculiar monarchs. Rudolf was known for his deep interest in alchemy, astrology, and the occult. He believed in the supernatural and spent a significant portion of his reign in Prague, where he transformed the city into a hub for alchemical experimentation and esoteric studies. Rudolf's castle in Prague, known as Prague Castle, was more like an eccentric laboratory and repository of curiosities than a royal residence. He gathered a vast collection of unusual and mysterious artifacts, many of which were believed to have mystical or supernatural properties. Among these curiosities was the Talking Head of Prague, an artifact said to possess the ability to answer questions and offer cryptic wisdom. Crazy History Facts. In the late 18th century, a man named Grigory Rasputin, a mystic and confidant of the Russian Romanov family, gained a reputation for his supposed mystical powers and unusual behavior. Rasputin's influence on the Russian royal family, particularly Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra, was so significant that many believed he held control over them. The craziest fact about Rasputin is that he survived multiple assassination attempts. In 1916, a group of nobles who believed he was a threat to Russia lured him to a gathering and poisoned him with cyanide-laced cakes and wine. Astonishingly, Rasputin didn't die from the poison, and he eventually escaped. In a final, desperate attempt to eliminate him, they drowned him in the icy Neva River. Rasputin's cause of death was ultimately determined to be drowning, but the circumstances of his demise remain shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Crazy History Facts. The Voynich manuscript is an ancient handwritten book that was discovered in 1912 by rare book dealer Wilfrid Voynich. What makes this manuscript so intriguing is that its text is written in a script that no one has been able to identify, and the plants and objects depicted in the illustrations do not match anything known from the historical record. Despite the efforts of numerous cryptographers, linguists, and scholars over the years, the Voynich manuscript remains an enigma, with its origins, purpose, and content still a mystery. Crazy History Facts. The legend tells that Lady Godiva, an Anglo-Saxon noblewoman from the 11th century and the wife of Leofric, the Earl of Mercia, performed an extraordinary act of protest. According to the legend, Lady Godiva appealed to her spouse to alleviate the heavy tax burden imposed on the people of the city of Coventry. The stern Earl agreed to grant a tax reduction under one condition. Lady Godiva had to ride through the city on horseback, completely naked, to demonstrate her dedication to the people. Lady Godiva consented and during the night rode through Coventry in the nude, with her long hair serving as her only covering. However, the story is often considered a popular legend rather than a verifiable historical fact. Some historians believe it might be a story invented in later times to illustrate the concept of nobility siding with the common people. Crazy History Facts. Welcome to the enigmatic world of Mata Hari, the Dutch dancer turned spy during World War I. Known for her sensual moves, Mata Hari secretly engaged in espionage for various nations. In 1917, her arrest and trial unveiled a mystery cloaked in contradictory testimonies and ambiguous evidence. Accused of being a German spy, Mata Hari was sentenced to death by firing squad. Despite the lack of concrete evidence, her fate remains shrouded in mystery, solidifying her status as an intriguing figure of the 20th century, an enigma that continues to defy time. Crazy History Facts. Cleopatra is known for her relationships with some of the most influential leaders of ancient Rome. It is said that she had a relationship with Julius Caesar and later with Mark Antony. Cleopatra sought to establish political alliances through these connections, but ultimately her association with Mark Antony contributed to her downfall. The Battle of Actium in 31 BC marked the end of their alliance against Octavian and led to Cleopatra's death. It is narrated that she chose to die rather than be captured and taken to Rome as a prisoner. The most common account of the Egyptian queen's death states that she allowed herself to be bitten by an asp, venomous snake, hidden in a basket of figs. Crazy History Facts. The Emu War is a curious episode in Australian history. In 1932, Australia faced an invasion of emus, large birds similar to ostriches, in the Campeonato region. Concerned about the crops, the Australian government decided to take military action against them. On November 2, 1932, a military expedition composed of 2 soldiers, Sergeant Major Percy Harrison and Corporal Percy Love, armed with 2 Lewis machine guns, was sent. The campaign unfolded with rather comical results, as the emus proved to be fast and agile, often eluding the machine guns. After several weeks of war, the government decided to withdraw the troops and abandon the idea of a large-scale war against the emus. Crazy history facts. In the 17th century, a tulip bulb craze known as tulip mania swept through the Netherlands. At the peak of the craze in the 1630s, tulip bulbs became so valuable that they were used as a form of currency, with some bulbs fetching prices equivalent to luxurious homes. The speculative bubble eventually burst in 1637, leading to a market crash and financial ruin for many investors. Tulip mania remains one of the most famous examples of an economic bubble in history, highlighting the unpredictable and sometimes irrational nature of financial markets. Crazy history facts. During the Victorian era in England, people were fascinated by mummies, and there was a trend called mummy unwrapping parties. These events were social gatherings where a real Egyptian mummy would be brought in, and invited guests would unwrap it to see what lay beneath the bandages. It was considered a fashionable and entertaining way to spend an evening. Not only were these parties popular, but mummies were also used for various purposes. Some were ground into a powder and sold as medicine, believed to have healing properties. Others were burned as fuel for locomotives in the belief that the ancient remains had combustible properties. Crazy history facts. In 1588, Queen Elizabeth I faced the threat of the Spanish Armada dispatched by King Philip II of Spain. Sir Francis Drake, leading the English fleet, engaged the Spanish in naval battles. A decisive turning point came when a powerful storm known as the Protestant wind disrupted the Spanish Armada in the English Channel. The storm, combined with subsequent English attacks, forced the Spanish fleet to retreat north around Scotland and Ireland. The harsh conditions and lack of supplies inflicted significant losses on the Spanish Armada. This unexpected weather event marked a pivotal moment, symbolizing England's maritime strength and reshaping European naval power in the late 16th century.